What's 3D image on Amazon, and how sellers can benefit by having that?
That's the context behind 3D and why Amazon are pushing it extremely hard.
How they know which one is real color? Do they cross-check from the listing or a physical product?
So they're extremely serious about your 3D not deceiving people.
Do you normally see after upgrading to having a 3D image in the listing in terms of CTR?
We'll use the AI to just give them a rough idea of what it will look like.
Is there any tip that you can give to the sellers on having this 3D render or 3D image on the listing?
Ecom Squeezed podcast.
Welcome back to Ecom Squeezed. I'm your host, Sebastian, founder of Retail-Outsource, and today we have Ganesh Singh. He's the co-founder of 3dimages.ai. So basically anything to do with 3D. And in today's episode, we are going to discuss how having a 3D image on Amazon will impact the conversion, the returns, and also how you can use AI to the mix. And there is 3D and AR as well. So we are going to discuss all those points. And by the way, Ganesh is the youngest podcast guest till now. So, welcome to the show, Ganesh.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm quite young in this space. There is a lot of people older and more experienced. And and to be honest, I have had a bit of experience. I'm 24 right now, turning 25. And I was in the Amazon space since I was 19. So I got into wholesale, did my own brand, and I got into AI. I saw the rise of ChatGPT and I just said, I want to analyze Amazon reviews, and no one's doing it at the moment, and we can find gaps in the market. And I built that startup before everyone else did, and I managed to sell that startup on. And I've been building within the e-com space for the past 3 years after that. And now, we've landed on this agency, which is a 3D creative agency, solving the three biggest problems for brands, which is expensive photo shoots, high product returns, and brands are always looking for new ways to boost conversions. So we believe 3D is one of the best ways, and one of the best ways in the future to benefit brands in these pain points. So and that's what we've been doing for the past 8 months. It's been a good journey. We've learned a lot because it is quite new, and we're just excited to see where it goes. And thanks to you for letting me on your podcast, especially being the youngest guest.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you, Ganesh. So, my first question will be, what's 3D image on Amazon? For most of the viewers, they don't even know what it is. So could you just give us an overview of what it is and, how sellers can benefit by having that?
Of course, yeah. So 3D is let me give some context about 3D. So 3D is relatively new. So I'm going to give the secret sauce, something that not a lot of people understand. And this is an announcement from Amazon. This was, you must be part of this Amazon SPN network. So
yes.
I don't know if you were part of that call I think it was in February, and Amazon had two very big announcements that not a lot of people have realized, and it got loads of people really excited, and people have been losing their minds over it. So I'm about to tell you what that is. So the first announcement was Amazon are looking to ultra personalize their platform. So if you like shoes, they'll know your shoe size, and they'll target you with shoes with that specific shoe size. So they want to ultra personalize their platform to your preferences. That was the first announcement. Now, the second announcement was they want to make their platform more interactive, right? Look, since e-commerce started, images have looked the same. I mean, we see an image on Amazon. Since Amazon has even started, you have a brand and you have an image, you scroll through the images to understand their product. But we know when you go into a retail store like Walmart, or you go down to the local shop and you buy a product, you're holding it in your hand and you're spinning it, and it's interactive, right? So that's the context behind 3D and why Amazon are pushing it extremely hard, because they want to make their platform more interactive. Because what a 3D model is, so what we do is you send us a couple images of the product, so you can take it with the iPhone, and we have 3D designers who create a 3D model. So you can implement, what not a lot of brands or agencies even know is you can implement a 3D model on your Amazon listing. And it's one of the best conversions for not every single category, but most categories, because it's the transparency. A lot of brands are going to ask questions like, oh, does this fit in my room? I didn't read the small print on the label behind. Does it fit in my rucksack? They're going to have all these questions, and 3D and AR will answer those questions because you can spin it around in 360. You can view it in your room. So a lot of brands don't know that they can add a 3D model to their listing, and you can tell Amazon are pushing it really hard because when you have the main image and then you scroll to the right, they automatically have an image which says view in your room AR. It doesn't even go to your next infographic in the listing. So that's a second. If you have a 3D, that's a second thing that's gonna pop up on people's screens. And a lot of brands don't realize the value of this. Our goal, our prediction is within the next 5 years, you're going to see most brands having a 3D model because it's one of those things where, um, probably the competitor doesn't have. I mean, a lot of competition, a lot of the competitors at the moment haven't got that, and it's just one way to stand out.
Yeah. That's very nice, Ganesh. So you mentioned about categories, right? So does it work on all categories on Amazon, or is there any specific categories that you think having this 3D image works really well?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I'll be plainly honest. If you're selling a mug or you're selling a water bottle, like there's no point. Or like I've got a hairbrush here. There's no point. No one's gonna. I mean, maybe you might find one person out of the million impressions that might want to see a mug in their room, but But I can tell you the best categories. So furniture is huge. I mean, you go on IKEA, you go on. I mean, a lot of the furniture categories on Amazon already are rolling out 3D because obviously people want to see what a sofa looks like in their room or in their living room or wherever. Furniture's the biggest. Second biggest one, which is really underrated, is fashion accessories. So we've got like handbags. So people can view internally in the bag and look at the zips, the stitching. Like fashion accessories is a big one. Third biggest one is like sporting goods. So we had one category, we had one product which is called Mobo. So that one is like a massage roller, but people are putting it in there, trying to store it in their cupboard. People are trying to use it in the gym. So they want to see it 360 and see how big it is to see if it even fits in their rucksack.
Yeah.
So that's another use case. And the other two were jewelry, because jewelry, I mean, yeah, people want to see the finer details. They want to view it on their finger, their wrist or whatever, and electronics. So electronics is probably the second biggest category because again, it's like even the smart glasses. I don't even know if you know the Ray-Ban Metas.
The Ray-Ban, yeah.
Yeah, so if you go on Instagram, the only ad for Ray-Ban Metas is try on these glasses. They don't have infographics. They don't have any of that. It's just like, here's a picture of the glasses, try it on. And that's the biggest conversion for that tech, right? So yeah, those are the main categories that work extremely well with 3D, 100%.
Great. Well, I have a question for example, you mentioned when you scroll on the mobile app, secondly, view it on the room. But is there any way that we can see the products? For example, if you take a product and then you can just scroll it and turn it around like something like this.
Yeah. So you can spin it, you can zoom it all on the Amazon platform.
Okay.
And literally when you have your listing, right below the listing, it says view in 3D. It's a button. And that button only unlocks if you have a 3D model. So it's just like, I mean, I can tell you an example. So I was trying to buy, what was I trying to buy? A portable charger for it. Have you heard of the brand Anker?
Famous.
Very famous brand.
Very famous.
They're
It's so famous. We always tell our staff, the design team, always keep an eye on what Anchor is doing.
Exactly.
So did they come up with all those nice things in terms of on the A+ side and whatever is that? We always keep an eye on them.
They're brilliant, honestly. Like their listings are just they're just spot on their Amazon strategy. You can really tell the story. But the main thing with Anchor is I was trying to buy a portable charger, and all of their portable chargers have 3D models. There's not a single one without a 3D model. And when I was looking to buy one, I just clicked, view in 3D. And I wanted to see how big it was or how chunky it was, because I don't want something chunky on the back of my phone. I want something quite thin. So I just viewed it on the table, and that was the only thing that made me want to buy that listing. I didn't have time to flick through the other images or I didn't even look at the A+ content. I just looked at the 3D model, and that just made me want to buy. And it's not biased because I have a 3D agency. It's just they have a lot of these brands are bringing on 3D models because it is, for a lot of products, it's the number one conversion driver against their competitors. So yeah. There's multiple examples.
So back I think in 2016 or something, I had a supplier who was selling tools, and they used to have the 3D image for all their product line, basically. So you can scroll, and so how they did was, I'm not sure, what kind of software they used at the time, but they was using some kind of going round table, and they take some shots from it and create it. So is that changed now, or is that a new technology is there to do that? You mentioned about, just with images from all sides, you will able to create it. So how easy is the process?
Yeah, so the process is a lot easier now. So I will say, before Amazon had their mobile app, I didn't use it a lot because, again, I mean, yeah, I'm your youngest guest, so I think a lot of people had more experience with this, but they had their AR thing built in the Amazon seller app or something like that, and you can just take a picture of your product, but it was the worst 3D model. It's like, there was no detail and awful. But generally the process is quite simple. So all we really need, and the product doesn't even need to exist firstly. So you can say, oh, I have a product, but it's going to have this bottle and I've got this label. Just make the product from thin air. We had a client recently, and she's starting a beauty brand, and her product doesn't exist yet. So she knew what she had: the bottle from the white label manufacturer, and she had the label from her graphic designer. And we just created the 3D model out of thin air, and we created her hero image, the lifestyle images. And so, yeah, all we need is a couple pictures, dimensions of every single part. So, for example, what was one example? So, yeah, like even like headphones, for example, you need the circumference, you'll need the dimensions. The more information you give us, the more real and accurate we can create it, because you want to make it true to size. One really big thing that a lot of the suppliers right now are struggling with is Amazon's 3D requirements are painful, absolutely painful, because it has to be true to color, has to be true to size, it has to match the listings. And if it's not correct, they'll send it back and they'll just reject it. So when we first started out, we made this 3D model for the brand, and it got rejected by Amazon 20 times.
Wow.
20 times, because they are so serious about 3D that it has to be beautiful. It has to be the best 3D model for their listing. But over time, we've written down, this has taken us, since we've started the business, like 7 months. We've written down, okay, this is what Amazon needs. This is how they're checking it. We understand now how Amazon are checking these 3D models, and we're just able to create models, and Amazon are just quite happy with them. So yeah, in terms of the process, that's all we need really.
Yeah.
You need just a couple images, and it will create the 3D model.
Great. And you mentioned about Amazon's policy on this one, 3D. So how they manage to get the color size? For example, the color need to be the same. So how do they check that? How they know which one is real color?
Yeah.
Do they cross check from the listing or a physical product?
Yeah. So what they want. So they're extremely serious about your 3D not deceiving people, and this is a big issue at the moment. And since that Amazon announcement in February, because a bit of context, most 3D modelers before this were doing 3D models for games. So like online games, they'll make these like little, I don't know, a table for a gaming room, for example, in a game. And they saw this shift where actually now e-commerce brands are wanting 3D, but they come from a gaming background, so it's completely different. So it looks like a cartoon, right? And that's the majority of these agencies at the moment. So in terms of Amazon's policy, so what we've seen is they color match. So they'll take your main image, and they'll take like they'll check every single pixel, and it's like a little grid. They'll pixel cross reference to the 3D model and check that the exact color matches up and pattern, because it even goes as detailed as like wood, for example. Like natural wood patterns are completely different. Like, not every wood pattern looks the same. So when we first started, we told our 3D designer, oh yeah, this is made out of wood. And they just did a random wood pattern. But then Amazon said, oh no, this wood pattern doesn't match up with the wood pattern that's in the main image. So they're a complete nightmare. And yeah, they will cross check every single pixel to the 3D model, to your main image. And that goes into color, it goes into size. That's the main barrier we've seen with Amazon at the moment.
Ganesh, I want to pick your brain on this one. This is quite important. What kind of improvement do you normally see after upgrading to having a 3D image in the listing in terms of CTR? CTR should not have that much impact, but the the dwell time and the conversion. Do you have an example that you can share?
Yeah, so I have an example. So yeah, again, the sports massage roller. So this brand was called MOBA, and we just recently got data on this. Their conversions were about like 3% or something. Around 3%. And after the 3D model went in, it boosted to 7%, and their returns dropped by about 10%. So a lot of people were asking questions on, does it fit? Yeah, like I was saying, does it fit in their rucksack? Does it fit in my room? Is what's the material like? Because they can't even feel the material. They couldn't see what the material is. So with the 3D model answered a lot of the questions that people had in the reviews, in the questions part of the listing. And yeah, their returns dropped because, again, it's that trust. And the conversions boosted because, again, none of their competitors had a 3D model. It boosts the professionalism of the listing, right? So that's one case study. The other case study I can think of on the top of my head is a stock cube. So there's this cube, and it's got LED lights on three of the sides, and it shows the live stock prices of the S&P and stuff like that. And they were selling these on Amazon, but people were returning the hell out of it because it was only on three sides and people thought it was on six sides. And they literally put in a 3D model and all their returns went to like zero. There was no returns. And their conversions just like, it was the biggest change in their revenue in their entire since inception. So there's really strong case studies in terms of that. And yeah, and like I said, with the beauty brand, it's, when you want something manufactured, you obviously want to set up your listings. You want to set up your TikTok shop. You want to set up your Amazon before the product's manufactured so you can get the supply chain in. You don't want to get the product manufactured, send it to a photography studio, go through a bunch of takes. It takes ages. So she said, all right, in the supply chain, I'm going to get rid of the photography studio, get us to do the 3D renders. And whilst that was being made, she saved the money. Firstly, it was a lot more faster. And once that was done, she was able to make her listings and it just streamlined that process. So that's the main case studies, that I can think of. Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of usage, we talked on Amazon, we can implement it. What about outside of Amazon? Is there any platform that we can use that, like a Walmart or eBay, Etsy, a lot of platforms, right?
Yeah. So Walmart does 3D. They do 3D and AR. Shopify as well. So a majority of our brands, once they make a 3D model of Amazon, I mean, they just put it on Shopify. They put it on their Walmart listings. TikTok Shop, obviously not at the moment. They don't have 3D, but we're building for the future, right? So there's going to be more channels. There's going to be Temu. There's going to be a lot of other things, and they're all going to roll out interactive shopping at some point. So yeah, you can use it for wherever you want. And the best thing about the 3D model is we don't just create once you create one model, you can do loads of other things with it, right? So you create one model, and now I can put it into a 3D beach and make lifestyle images. I can put it in a 3D bedroom and make lifestyle images. And we know lifestyle images are a pain with brands, right? So people are asking, oh yeah, can you put my beauty brand on the beach with water flowing over it? And yeah, we can do that. It's like, so you can do that with 3D. So yeah, again, that can be used on TikTok Shop. And yeah, again, it's like AR. So we can put a QR code on your Shopify website so you can view it in your room. The other ones were, like an animation. So if you had a watch, for example, you can do an explosive diagram of the watch and it can show all the internal components, and that's built off one 3D model, right? So
really, okay, I never thought about it. I mean, so I was really curious about the explosive view.
Yeah, it's a lot. The companies that have done this already, obviously, it's like Apple. So when Apple released an iPhone, I mean, some of the ads, and they explode the iPhone. You can see the battery and everything. So we've made that very accessible to brands because literally, as soon as they've done with a 3D model, they're just like, oh yeah, can you make this animation or can you do this image? And it's very easy for us.
Yeah.
So that's the whole reason why these agencies are popping up now. It's a growing thing. It needs a lot of education because agencies and brands are seeing this for the first time. They're seeing the true use case of it, and Amazon are pushing it. So yeah, this is why I'm on the podcast. Is here to educate people and just get people to join on this wave.
Yeah. I mean, so at the start, when we, in 2013 days, there's only one type of image. You have to take the image using a camera, right? Then we have 3D render, it came. Then AI came. Then 3D modeling came, right? So then the explosive view came. So a lot of things have happened. So how do sellers mix all those? Is there any specific stack that you normally use? First the main image, then the 3D, then infographic or 3D render, then the explosive view? Is there any specific way that you structure that?
It really depends on the brand. I mean, obviously, like a beauty brand wouldn't need an explosive view,
Of
or
course.
a lot of brands come with different requirements. So some of them already have main image, some of them already have infographics. But if you're literally starting a brand from scratch, you can do your whole creative process with a mix of 3D and AI. So if you want the stack, really. So I don't know, have you heard of Meta Sam 3D? Right. Yeah. So Meta have invested heavily, like put billions into creating AI 3D models. So that whole process I just explained of creating a 3D model from images, basically, they're basically doing that with AI. And yeah, the models are built for gaming, obviously, and they're not 100% accurate. But what's really good for us anyway is when I explain the benefits of 3D to a brand and they're like, oh, what does that look like? I can just plug it into AI and it literally does it in 30 seconds. It creates 3D model. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's really good. We can just do that with Shopify and Amazon. And they upload it to Amazon and it just gets rejected. And then they're like, oh, we need you to polish this up. AI is streamlining that process really heavily. And yeah, in terms of the creative stuff, so when a brand is launching a new product line or they need a new product from scratch, you can use 3D renders to create the initial model. You can use it on so like I said, with the lifestyle images, create the videos, all the brand assets you need for the listing. We don't deal with Amazon infographics because we really specialize in in 3D designers. Graphic design is really its own thing, and we don't want to tap into that. But yeah, once you've got the render, you can hand that over to a graphic designer and they can we can give every angle, because I think a lot of infographics you see on Amazon, it's always just like one angle of the image. So it's just their main image cropped into different
Different, yeah.
infographics, right? So we can literally give as many angles of that product as possible using the render, and yeah, the infographics are just miles better. And and then that goes into videos as well. So, yeah, there's definitely a good stack to use AI and 3D.
Great. And in terms of, let's see your pipeline, right, for creating the 3D. So how much of AI do you use in that full pipeline?
So at the moment we don't use any AI because
Really? Okay.
yeah,
I'm surprised.
we don't use the AI is just there to explain it to the user, because we
Okay.
obviously, for us it would take us 7 or 8. I mean, if they require a 3D model, sometimes it will take a day or 2 days, or we try to turn it around in under 48 hours. And but they don't know a 3D model can look like. So we'll use the AI to just give them a rough idea of what it will look like. But yeah, again, it's just we have a form on our website, a client form, and they just upload the pictures, the dimensions, the material is very important with 3D. So even what was the example? So yeah, like I said, with the wood or the other material. So the beauty brand was the bottle was made out of glass, but she didn't mention to us what the material was. So the designer just did it based on what he thought, which was plastic. But glass and plastic look very, very different. And it just got rejected from Amazon. So you have to be really specific with the requirements. So once we know all those requirements, we'll turn it into a 3D model, and they can use it on their platform. They can use it on their Shopify. And if they require other services like lifestyle images or any of the other ones, then yeah, we can just do that additional works. It's a very basic. It's a very basic creative pipeline. There's no like secret AI at the moment, but in terms of the future, we can definitely see AI creating a 3D model which is not completely polished, but you'll use the creative agencies to really get the finer details and make it 100% accurate. Because yeah, not every brand is going to be, especially the bigger brands, they're not going to accept medium quality or low quality. They want the best quality. So you are going to want to use a creative agency. But I mean, yeah, a lot of the smaller brands are trying to cut corners and use AI with, but yeah, again, it won't get accepted by Amazon.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I agree with you. Ganesh, you mentioned about the workflow. So just to get my head right. So they have to send you the pictures of the original product, plus the dimensions and the texture and everything. And you will create the image and you will send that file back to the customer, and they have to upload that to Amazon. Is that how the workflow looks like?
Yeah, exactly that.
Okay. That's great. My next question is, you mentioned that with this 3D you can create infographic lifestyle image. What about videos? Can we create videos with that?
Yeah, so you can create videos. So yeah, like I was saying with the watch, so you can create 3D model of the watch. You can do call outs. You can do, it's mainly animation. So we can't obviously do a UGC. We can't do a 3D person. It makes no sense. But we can do really good explainer like demos. So like one example is something that's fitting on the wall, like a TV stand. So we can do a complete animation of, we can have a bedroom wall, and the TV stand being put on the wall, and we can show all the screws going in, the instructions. So like we can do very instructive videos, and yeah, we can do call outs. It's all just like CGI. It's basically like CGI 3D animation. We haven't done it for a lot of brands yet because it's very time consuming. But yeah, we've got the people to do that, and the quality is second to none. It's like as if it's like as if Apple's released a new iPhone. That's how good. That's the quality we go for. So uh, yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. And I know there's only one place that you can put 3D images, but can be integrated anywhere, like, from the brand story banner or from A plus content or anywhere.
Are you talking about the 3D model or the 3D like render?
3D image, for example, maybe as a video, I'm not sure. Have you done it, and have you seen any uplift in any of the KPIs?
So yeah, so the terminology in 3D is really, yeah. I mean, it's important because there's a 3D model, which is the 360. You can
Yeah.
spin that around. That's a 360 model. 3D render is using that model and just creating an image. So it's like on a white background. Yeah, technically, once we've got the 3D render, you can put it into A plus. You can put it into any of your adverts. Again, that's like graphic design. It's a whole separate thing. But yeah, we have a few graphic designers, but if people need it referred, but we really focus on 3D only. And it's like, yeah, once you have the 3D render and you have all angles, that's brilliant for a graphic designer, because now they can just throw it in. They can have different sizing, and it gives them more creative freedom. So yeah, if you want to put it in your A plus content or anything like that, it's very.
Yeah, yeah. And Ganesh, I want to pick your brain on PPC. PPC is a big part on Amazon, right? So have you seen any, impact on the PPC side in terms of, ROAS or ECOS once you have implemented this 3D?
So we don't have the exact data on it, because it's like we've done work with Amazon clients, but we haven't had enough data right now to say, okay, we've got 10 clients, and when they did it in their PPC adverts, we've seen an immediate uplift. We've seen definitely conversions. So conversions is like very measurable. So yeah, it was back to that example of going from 3 to 7% because it answered a lot of questions. But in terms of ROAS at the moment, yeah, well, obviously I don't have that data at the moment. But yeah, I can imagine. What I can imagine is if Amazon have announced that they want to make their platform more interactive, I think everyone has to listen at that point. It's, you got to follow with what Amazon are going for. And I mean, Amazon are really innovating in their ads already, right? You can create AI video ads that look incredible. So yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine 3D having a big impact in that.
And in terms of 3D, how you can, I asked this question, merge with videos. So is that something that you can take it from the 3D and merge it? I know you're not doing it, but maybe, another agency can do it and you can send the file. Again, have you done that experiment? Because this is kind of the basic need as a seller, right? They want to have the videos ready. Maybe they can make it from the 3D or maybe a part of it just to show how the product looks like from different angles.
Yeah. So yeah, we can definitely do that. So obviously, if a customer they want to make a 1 minute long video and they don't want all of it 3D, we can do specific clips. So you can have a 10-second clip of an exploded diagram or an explainer part, and then we can send it to a video editor, and they can have their own clip of them recording themselves use it, or however they want to do the production, and then we can stitch the videos together. So I mean, I think most brands are doing that, because most brands who have requested the video, they don't want it fully in 3D. They want to edit it with loads of other stuff. But when it comes to the 3D animations, that's basically where we specialize in. So yeah, it's the 3D creative pipeline for Amazon sellers in a nutshell. I mean, you can create your main image, you can create the 3D model, you can use that render, which is the main image, to put into your infographics. And if you need a video, you can do a 3D animation using that 3D model into your video. Again, like those renders can be put into your A+ content and stuff like that. And that creative workflow is cheaper than going to a photographer. It's better than going to AI because AI is not consistent and it will hallucinate the text. Renders really is the best option. And people have been using renders for a while, but we're making it extremely accessible to brands. So it's that's the creative pipeline in a nutshell.
Yeah. And also, you mentioned about the policy about the image or the 3D render. Is that a white background, same like what we have on main image on Amazon? And a trend on the main image is that you can add tags saying it's, if it's a vitamin 12, if it's a flavor, strawberry, put strawberry on the side. So have you tried anything like in a cheeky, like gray area in between?
Not at the moment, no. I mean, we do have very strict like main image guidelines, obviously the white background and stuff like that. But again, I think that's it's more of a graphic design task. It's,
Yeah.
graphic designers, I think with the brands we worked with, essentially, they have their own graphic designers. They just don't have 3D. I think graphic designers are so easily accessible. I mean, you can go on Fiverr, you can go on Upwork. I mean, a lot of agencies have their own in-house teams already. So where we fill the gap is we give them an extra thing in their inventory, which is 3D. And yeah, once we give them the picture of their product, then yeah, in the main image, yeah, they can play around with it. But we have tried playing around with like liquids because liquids have really different reflections when you put it on like a different backgrounds. When you put on a white background, it doesn't actually look extremely realistic. So we actually have to put it on we actually have to physically do it in a lifestyle image. So like on a table in a bedroom and then crop it out and then manually put it on a white background because it just adds that realism. So yeah, there's multiple ways, but no, we haven't tried those tags yet. But that's a graphic design.
Yeah. And also A/B testing. So do you have, you just mentioned about the water shading, maybe a white one. Do you normally A/B test, or is that, if the client wants it only?
So no, so that's more like the Amazon. That's more like the Amazon strategy. I mean, because we are a creative agency,
Mhm.
we don't really deal with the A/B testing of like the main image. I think because the majority of our clients at the moment have been agencies.
Yeah.
The majority of them are agencies. They refer the brand, so they're the experts on the A/B testing. We're the experts in 3D. So we'll tell you how your 3D is converting, and most of the agencies are actually they see the results for themselves. So we just handle the creative side, and yeah, when they come back to us saying, oh yeah, it's really boosted our conversions, we need like 100 more for our brands, we're just there. So it's yeah, that's the main areas we're dealing with. But again, if I have I think I need more case studies ready next time if we get on a podcast again. And yeah, I'll definitely produce those case studies.
Great. And my last question is there any tip that you can give to the sellers on having this 3D render or 3D image on the listing?
So the tips are, it really depends on, trying to think of a really good tip. So firstly, all right, this is the ultimate test, because I think people need education around 3D and people need to see the results for themselves. So what I would say as a number one tip is just trial a 3D model, right? If you have a brand or you're about to start a brand, just make a 3D model. It's not gonna cost thousands like a lot of the other agencies are like charging a very high amount for. It'll cost a couple $100. Try the 3D model, put it on your Amazon listing, measure the conversions, see if that's made any difference to the people, your reviews, the comments, the product returns, the conversions. And then once you've seen the real impact of 3D, then you can roll it out. There's not really, because there's such an education barrier, people need to see the results for themselves. And again, if you're already if you're already an established brand and you're creating a new product line, instead of using a photography studio, you should have 3D renders in your head as literally the immediate solution. Because again, you don't want to be sending a free product to a photography studio, them taking 100 pictures and it's going to cost you thousands. You should be thinking, all right, I need a 3D render and I can create my listing 10 times faster and just streamline that whole process. So that's the biggest tip for the sellers is have 3D renders as in 3D services as another thing in your inventory that you can throw in. Because again, like, it's not going to work. It will work for most brands, but there's obviously a use case for photography. Like, I can't make a 3D person and have them hold a 3D product, but it definitely has a lot of use cases that can solve 70% of your problems. So it's like, yeah, have that in your inventory, which you can use in your creative inventory, essentially.
Great. And this is something I missed also. I want to ask you, is there any limit on any of the categories that you can upload just 3D images?
Yeah, so there's obviously file sizes. So file size is a big problem with 3D. So when there's two different types. So there's a thing called high poly and low poly. So polys are basically how detailed your 3D model is. So high poly 3D models will be like you can literally zoom in and see the thread of a cloth of my t-shirt. And that's super high quality, but the file size is like 3 gigabytes. So Amazon will just reject that. So Amazon will just be like, look, this is too big and you're not giving us enough money. So we're going to reject it. So basically, if you want it, there's a file size limit on Amazon. I think it's about 250 megabytes, something to the top of my head. So they need to be
Okay.
optimized. Different platforms have different limits. So this is where the education, using a 3D designer or 3D agency, whichever you want to use, knowing those omni-channel requirements in different ones is going to be like super important. Because the 3D model that might work for you on Shopify is not going to work on Amazon. So you need one that fits in all three in whatever channel you use. So yeah, file size is definitely a big limitation, especially the gaming ones that a lot of these people, the 3D designers, mainly they've come from a gaming background and their 3D models are huge, like 3-4 gigabytes. And yeah, they try to give it to brands and their website completely lags. Like their Shopify is so slow and they just end up binning it off. So making sure that they're lightweight, it's called making it a lightweight model. So making it lightweight for your websites and stuff and listings is super important.
Great. Ganesh, it's been fantastic to talk
Much.
with you. And thanks a lot for all this advice. And as I mentioned, this is the first time I'm having a guest who is focused on this topic. So thanks again for sharing all the knowledge. And for the viewers, where can they find you?
So yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. We've got a website. It's called 3dimages.ai. Yeah, we've also got, what I'm happy to do is if you have a brand or you're an agency, we mainly work with agencies. What we typically do is if you send us a list of your brands, we're really good at eyeing out which ones would benefit the most out of 3D, because I understand people are really busy and they can't see the value. We'll look at your brand, see which ones might benefit. And yeah, we work on a quotes basis. You can send us quotes and we'll tell you how much it's going to cost. We can probably give you a 3D strategy, seeing what you can test out. And yeah, that's what we can do for agencies. So we can even do an audit. So we'll look at your listings. We can see, your competitors are using 3D or they're not using 3D right now. You need to implement it now. So we've got a team, we've got a CEO, we've got CMO, we've got, there's about 15 people at the moment, and we all come from an e-commerce background. So we'll help you strategize with 3D. And yeah, what I can offer is definitely like a free audit. Let's just jump on call. We
Great.
can figure it out. Yeah.
Great. So I will put the LinkedIn profile and the website details in the show notes. So please do check it out. And thanks again, Ganesh, for coming down here.
Thank you. It's been an honor to be the youngest guest. I hope you don't find like a 23-year-old to beat the record.
Yeah, it's too young for, normally at 24, you go and party, roam around the world and stuff like that. It's very hard to find
Yeah.
a 24-year-old doing business like this.
Yes. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.